guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he's 33 years old, and he's going to share his story about events that happened in his very early 20s with his ex-fiancée. I want to emphasize ex. And he's going to go all into how he knew her when he was a kid, like junior high or whatever. They were friends. He was really hot for her back then because she was a pretty girl, but didn't go anywhere. They got reconnected in college and started dating. However, you're going to see early on, she had some major red flags. One of which I might add is she is a, wait for it, pastor's daughter. And I'm sure many of you know what the stereotypes about those types of gals. Well, it's dead on here. And there were red flags in the beginning, but he ignored them, or he didn't know what to look for. And in the beginning, everything was great in their relationship, but then things started taking a major 180. And eventually, it got worse and worse to the point that he found that she was cheating on him, and to make things even crazier than that, she was on the side doing activities, if you will, of adult content, pictures and videos to put online. And at that point, as you can imagine, he threw her ass right out. I think he even said, you got 30 seconds to get the hell out of here. And now years later, the guy's doing well, he's on his purpose, and with her, well, things aren't so good. She probably shouldn't have cheated on this guy. Let me put it to you that way. But anyhow, guys, I'm going to go through this story. It's entertaining, and definitely some lessons here, which I'll point out along the way. It's a little bit longer, so I'll keep the commentary minimal here. Starts off, he says, hello, SSM. I found your channel about half a year ago, and while I have not seen all your videos, I usually watch the ones I do catch along the way, and I watch them all the way through, and I always leave a like. I respect your platform, and I think it's a great channel to spread awareness to young men around the world. Well, brother, thank you for your support. Here's a brief background with me. I'm 33 years old now, with a lot of wisdom, experience, as well as resources to live comfortably within my means. I was raised by my grandparents, who were married until my grandfather passed away when I was 13 years old. Although I was in my grandparents' custody, I saw my mom nearly every day, but she had me a bit young and went through her own personal issues and wasn't completely stable. My sperm donor was not in my life, as he chose not to be. I tried to get in contact with him, and he ghosted me as a child and as a young adult. This story I will share with you is about me from ages 20 to 22 years old. So obviously, when he's being sarcastic, saying sperm donor father, meaning obviously this guy obviously sounds like he hooked up with his mom and head off into the sunset. For the sake of privacy, I'll be calling my ex-fiancée Kim. So I knew Kim since I was 14 years old, and her being 13. We ran track together at middle school, and I always had a thing for her. She was my type. But back then, I was going through a shy phase and was inexperienced with socially interacting with girls. Around this time, we would talk on the phone, and I remember she would call me randomly, and we'd be on the phone for hours. Sounds like you were her BFF. And don't worry about being shy and awkward with girls that age. Dude, we all were. I mean, well, the majority of us. Shit, you should have seen me. I was terrible. Since I was a grade ahead of her, I ended up going to the high school and losing contact with her. I was a bit immature back then, and I thought it was too cool to talk to a middle schooler. The following year, my family moved out of the district, and I never ran into her again. He says, later on, I forgot about her entirely until I stumbled across her on my MySpace when I was 19. MySpace? Wow, we're going back a ways. She was in crazy good shape since she was a cheerleader in high school, drop dead gorgeous, and everything else. To put it mildly, nature is good to some people, and it looked like God had personally blessed her every day since middle school. You're putting her on a pedestal. Don't do that. She's just a chick. Got a whole world full of them. That mentality gets guys into so much trouble. I immediately tried to get in contact with her, but she was a bit standoffish, and I had a feeling it was still because I blew her off years ago prior, so I moved on, but still, in the back of my mind, I wanted her. Yeah, because you couldn't get her in junior high, so you had to get her. Your male pride, your male ego, you have to get that one. It's amazing how we are. I was cool with her cousin, we will call her Amy, for a couple years at this point through mutual friends. Amy was and still is incredibly overweight, plus not my type. Well, that's probably the reason why. But I am not shallow, and I've always been nice to people despite their appearance. One day, Amy, a mutual friend, and I were hanging out, and she brought up Kim's name. I jokingly asked her last name, and she verified that I was thinking of the same person, and she was her cousin, which I had no idea. After this encounter, I searched Kim up on Facebook, and she was in a relationship. All the hot girls are. That's just how it is. Now, I want to clarify what kind of guy I was. I was a simp with clout. I had a sizable social media presence since I did poetry a lot and would post them, allowing me to get into a lot of interaction. I was a simp because I was a nice guy that girls loved to hear how I'd piece words together. But I was too laid back and didn't stand up for myself when it counted, as I didn't want to be the aggressor towards the gals. Standing up for yourself doesn't make you an aggressor. That's just what a lot of guys think, and that's unfortunately what the masses have been brainwashed nowadays. No, you can stand up with yourself without being, harsh or aggressive. You're just firm. That's all you have to do. I also had a lot of women wanting to hang out and mess around on weekends. So I was pretty much the opposite of how I was at 14. Oh, and I was also ripped since I worked out 6 days a week and had a six-pack. Nowadays, still ripped, but no six-pack, but trying to get it back. Yeah, you're in your early 30s now, dude, and you're working and all that. That's going to take some serious discipline, not only the gym, but your diet. It's one thing when you're 20 years old to have a six-pack, but when you're in your 30s, that's when things are a little more challenging. Anyway, she has me, and we speak briefly. She seems a bit interested, but I found it strange how she didn't remember me. What a load of crap. She remembered you. Come on. She was barely 20 years old, and it was not like we hadn't seen each other for 10 years or something, but whatever. My special move back then was asking a woman to chill as friends, even if they were in relationships. But I would never make a move on them if they were taken. Some women didn't do anything, and others would, after a few times hanging out, were attempting to mess around. Dude, don't bullshit me or bullshit us. What do you do? You brought those girls back to chill, and even if they were in relationships, because you were hoping something would happen. I don't want to hear this. Well, they're in relationships, I wouldn't do anything. You were hoping for it, and that's not cool. Messing around or trying to orchestrate things to hang out with other dudes' girls, because that's breaking the bro code, in my opinion. That's just not cool. And two, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass one day, and you're going to see here, guys, what happens. He says, I'm saying this because I really wanted her. But honestly did not plan on making a move while she was still in a relationship. Yeah, but you were hoping she would do it. And if she did, well, then that's different. I'll go along with it then. Anyway, she starts coming over on Friday nights. This is Kim. And after a couple weeks, she's at my house Friday and Saturday nights until midnight at least. Remember, guys, about how pay attention to her actions. If she's showing up all the time to hang out and she has a boyfriend, what does that say? What does that say about her character? It also says that she obviously is into this dude. One Saturday night, we were in the middle of a movie and her phone went off and she left in a hurry. I knew what this was, but it didn't sit well with me because through my eyes, I thought she deserved better. I thought her current boyfriend was treating her like a booty call in my simp Captain Save a garden tool eyes. So what I did next, I'm not proud of. The next time we hung out, it got a little late and I pulled her a bit closer to me and made a move. To my surprise, she accepted. This is where I started to make bad decisions. You're already making bad decisions, getting yourself involved with a chick that had a boyfriend. And notice she was hanging out with him until finally he made the move and she went along with it. She wanted him to make the move because at the end of the day, that way they can blame the guys. Oh, he made the move on me. It's not my fault. I didn't want to cheat, but he made the move on me. Not cool, dude. You should wait for her to break up with the guy, and then that's different. But she had no problem cheating. This is a major sign, guys. If she can cheat on the boyfriend, the second things go bad with you, she'll cheat on you. For the next couple of weeks, we hit it off well and would spend more time making out than watching the movie. One night we were naked together for the first time and I couldn't go all the way with her. Still, I wanted her to be mine, so I told her if she wanted me, she would have to leave her boyfriend. She told me she would and I asked her when, and she replied, I will later, I promise. So for weeks you're hooking up with her and she's got no problem hooking up with you behind this guy's back. Remember I told you this is the pastor's daughter? At this point, I started putting my clothes on and I heard her phone ringing. She was calling her boyfriend and broke up with him on the speaker. He cried and I didn't care. As soon as she hung up, we had you know what, but I was a bit inexperienced, which would be too much info for this. She broke up with him on speakerphone so you could hear this. You want to talk about heartless. And you're there and you don't care, and the guy's obviously crying and everything, and she doesn't care. Again, what does this show you about her character? Also, guys, this another example how gals, they can be in a relationship and they'll stay in it, and then when they find a replacement, then they'll break up. And this is why a lot of guys are shocked when How could she move on so fast? How could she do this to me? How come she fell out of love with me so quickly? She fell out of love with you a long time ago and she was staying with you because she didn't want to be alone. And then when she found a replacement, goodbye. Right here. Do all gals do this? No. Because I know some that don't, but a lot do. He says, she wanted to become official the next day, but I waited a week because in my head, I didn't want it to look so messy to everybody and was worried about my image. The next year was blissful and honestly to this day, the best relationship I had on a day-to-day basis. She was a pastor's daughter and was supposedly religious. I'll come back to that part later on when she's making videos, which I never knew at all. Her father was a bit strict with me. Back then I was a hat guy, and he would always make me take off my hat and wear collared shirts. He'd also make snide remarks in a joking way about how he never saw his daughter anymore because of me. She would do everything for me. I'd be asleep from work, and I'd wake up and she was doing my laundry while cooking me breakfast. Well, that's nice. She was also thoughtful and was always making me laugh. The tips and techniques I was teaching her in the sack were paying off. In a nutshell, I had zero complaints. I thought you said a moment ago you had little experience back then, but now you're teaching her stuff? Newsflash, I think she had way more experience than you. But okay. I guess I should start with where I was financially, since I didn't clarify that. When I met her, I was working at a supermarket in just 1 year's time, and after another job, in between, I landed a factory job where I could make my rent in 1 week's time. Dude, that's pretty good. I mean, you're like, 20 years old or 21 at this point? The downside is a lot of overtime. I was working from 3:30 p.m. to 2 a.m., Monday through Friday, and Saturdays being 2 p.m. to midnight, and Sundays being optional but double time. My previous job, I was barely working 30 hours a week, so this is a big change for me, and although I was in shape, I needed time to adjust since I was always tired. Yeah, dude, you're working a lot. You went from working in the supermarket 30 hours a week to like double that. But you're making darn good money, and you should have been stashing that money away, investing it in the right places that you're comfortable with, not pissing it away on girlfriends and stuff like that. But I respect your work ethic. At this point, she was being a bit irritating to me. Here we go. She could not understand why I didn't want to go out every single weekend, as I could barely keep my eyes open, as this was a labor-intensive job. She would compare me working all those hours, lifting hundreds of 30 to 60 pound parts every night, to her standing at a cashier's kiosk for 5 hours, and she would get 2 breaks. Yeah, apples and oranges in your jobs. Eventually, I got tired of her moping around my house. I started waking up at 8 a.m. 3 days of the week to take her out to breakfast before my shift, and sometimes go for a walk through the park, since she really loved that. I thought we were on good terms as the nagging stopped, since I was consistently doing this and trying to be in high spirits with her so she'd be happier at this point. Trying to make your gal happy. How many guys since in human history have been trying to do that, and no matter how hard they try, they cannot ever get them to be completely happy or satisfied and so forth. It's just how it is. So maybe instead of trying so hard to make her happy and making yourself miserable, you start making yourself happy, doing everything for you first, and watch how amazing how the gals react to that. It's just when the guys do everything, put them on the pedestal, when he said how hot she was early on, so already in his mind she was, out of his league on a pedestal. Then he's doing all these things to try. And I get in relationships, if you're going to be a relationship guy, obviously you do things for your girl if she's good to you. And in the beginning, it sounded like she was good to him, right? But there's a point when you're running yourself ragged, and that's just not good. There's a balance, guys. It says here, one night, my machine breaks down in my department, and my boss tells me I can go home. This is about 7 p.m. on a Saturday night, so I was happy. I immediately started planning on where to take my fiancée before calling her with the news. Oh yeah, by the way, they're engaged now. I call her as I'm out clocking out and tell her I got out early and trying to take her out. She told me she was on her way to Detroit with her cousin Amy and a couple of friends. I thought this was odd since she didn't bring this up to me, but me being the simp, I just let it slide. She's now your fiancé. And by the way, he's busting his butt at the factory to make money, save money, and get things ready so they can start a life together. And she's complaining left and right about them being, him never being there. Can't make her happy. And keep in mind, she's still really young, and she's a hottie, obviously can get guys. Now she's suddenly going for unannounced, without letting him know, Girls Weekend in Detroit of all places. No offense to you guys in Detroit, but your city has a reputation. Anyhow, so she doesn't let this guy know, and she hasn't been happy lately. What could go wrong? So she gets back in town on Monday. I know she's distant. She isn't talking to me as much and is pretty short. She has stopped cuddling with me and slowed down the kisses. Basically, she was standoffish to the point she acted like she didn't want to be touched, but didn't say anything when I did, which was worse. So what I tell you about paying attention to people's actions and behavior, and this goes both ways, men and women, but in this case we're talking about a woman here. Pay attention to her actions, okay? Backing away, not touchy-feeling, not cuddling, not talking, all these things. Something's up. So I knew the other two girls beside her cousin. One of them was a guy I called my brother, at the time his girlfriend, and the other was literally the town SLUT. This is how big of a SLUT she was. I live in a pretty fairly sized populated city, and every dude I was cool with back then had hooked up with her. And just a reminder, I was really popular back then, so it had to be hundreds, and she was my fiance's age, a year younger than me. My fiance once accused me of sleeping with her before we got serious, and this girl had to tell her she never hooked up with me. There's another red flag when your fiance is accusing you of hooking up with some other girl because, well, every other guy in the town hooked up with her. Another red flag. And I might add, while we're at it, why the hell were you engaged at like 21, 22 years old? Too young, dude. I get she was hot. I get she was your dream girl that you wanted from junior high. No. You didn't. She was a kid. And you were a kid. I get that you were working and you had a certain level of maturity then. That's good. But no freaking way, guys. You're out of your damn mind. Wait until you're like darn close to 30 for that stuff. If you're going to do it. Which I don't recommend nowadays. Anyway, I wasn't close with them either, but I trusted Amy. Well, we're going to see where that trust gets him. I was reluctant to do this, but as the guy I was, I had to save my future marriage, and I wasn't going to let it die if I could fix it. Oh, how so many before you and after you have tried and will try and fail. I wait a couple days and I call Amy in between cycles at work. My department at the time made a lot of noise, so I knew I would have to raise my voice, which to this day I hate doing. She picks up, but the service is bad in the factory, so we get disconnected. She calls back, and I basically ask what happened in Detroit, because Kim has been distant ever since, and I wanted to know something happened. What happened next blew my mind. Amy bluntly said it wasn't my business, what they were doing, and I'm being insecure and controlling. This is the girl that he defended earlier in the story. This is the girl who he said, even though she was overweight, I'm not attracted to her, I was still nice to her, I didn't judge her appearances, and said she was so cool and a good friend and all that, but now he's asking a good question. Hey, what happened? Kim's acting differently, something wrong, and she's accusing him of being controlling and insecure. See? That is the knee-jerk answer all the time to accuse guys of that when they have a good reason to be questionable about certain activities when something's wrong. Oh, you're just being insecure. Oh, you're just trying to be controlling. That's nonsense. She also said that if I'm having issues so soon before the marriage, I should call it off. A BFF and relative of Kim is telling you maybe you should call it off. Gee, I wonder what's going on behind the scenes to help maybe sabotage this relationship. She said other things, but they're mostly in alignment with what I just said. Back then, I had no filter if you pushed me. Kim told me that Amy once was in a room with a guy on her knees when Kim and the other two girls walked in, and she was embarrassed. So, Amy did not know that. I knew this, and I blurted out, look, I don't care if you had a sausage in your mouth or not. I just want answers. After this, she didn't respond to me and went right to Kim and forwarded her what I said, but left out everything else. Kim got upset with me when I got home and showed her my messages. This sounds like such childish shit right now. I know you got to get your point across, but just, I'm sure him looking back at this is like, oh, this child drama. This is when she swore nothing happened and she was just stressed out about work and school. How many times have you heard that one? Oh, I'm just stressed. Busy at work. She urged me to apologize to Amy, but I was not in the right mind state to do so, and I don't say things I don't mean. The next day, Kim realized the message to Amy for me that we should let things die down and come together and speak in person. I was okay with this and thought things would resolve themselves. They definitely resolved themselves all right. A couple days later, I got multiple long texts from Amy telling me I'm not allowed around her family anymore. She told me what I said, and they all hated me. Talk about drama central, these stupid girls. But you're getting sucked into this mess too, so what I tell you about karma coming back to bite you in the ass, dude? I told Kim this and she acted like she didn't know Amy that did that. Bullshit. Around this time, her father, the pastor, started calling me a bunch of names and insulting my family. Not cool. He cannot like you, but don't go insulting your family. He even crossed the line and insulted my dead grandfather, which struck a nerve, and Kim had to beg me not to say or do anything. She insisted things would blow over and just to lay low, plus how much she loves me. If a girlfriend's father or anybody insulted my family and my, let alone deceased loved ones, believe me, there'd be more than words going on. I don't care if he's a freaking pastor or not. I'd cold cock that mother effer right there. Well, things didn't get better. Now here's where we're getting into the good stuff, guys. So while I was at work, I would text or call my fiancée on my breaks. I would usually text because sometimes we would say inappropriate things and I didn't want people to be offended in the cafe. Anyway, I noticed after this happened, she would take noticeably longer to return my text messages. When everything was good, it was near instant to give or take a few minutes. Now I was lucky to get a response on my 20-minute break at all. Remember, pay attention to a woman's actions. The thing is, she usually worked mornings and got out around the time I would be going into work. It was summer and she wasn't taking summer classes. So all she would be doing the majority of the time was watching TV, or so I thought. One day, I'm laying down watching anime and she's on her laptop. I can easily see her laptop from my view without moving, so I look and I saw peculiar messages. Remember the whole thing I said when she was okay cheating on her boyfriend back with him when things start going bad? That's how they'll typically do the same thing to you. She was in some kind of chat room and somebody sent her a message saying, "I like your nipple rings." Uh-oh. I immediately addressed it and she said that she was posting nudes on Hamster. I asked her why and she said she always wanted to do it and didn't think it was a big deal because her face isn't in the pictures. Done. Relationship's over. Give me the freaking engagement ring back. We're done. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's just on Hamster, which I never heard of. I asked her why, and she said she always wanted to do it, blah, blah, blah. She even went as far as to say she wanted to make a naughty video with me, and honestly, it was just a random girl then, and I would not have to, and I would have, but not with my damn fiancé. That was how I said. Let me just back up. That was how I said it. So she apologized, and I told her never do it again. She says she won't. Yeah, sure. So she's posting the pictures. I didn't think it was a big deal. Now she wants to make naughty videos. What does this say? A few weeks later, the distant off behavior continues, and I'm really unhappy at this point. It was like she wasn't there anymore, and whenever she was on her laptop. You should have cut her loose, man. One night, she gets up and gets something from the kitchen. I once again look over the laptop and I see instant message IM messages. There was a string of messages implying she was dating another guy. I don't know how I felt at this point, but I was hurt. But I was so in love with her, and she was too deep. She was in too deep. The thought of leaving her was driving me crazy, but I was not happy. And deep down, I knew we were over, but I still had hope. Yeah, dude, I get it. That you feel like your heart's being ripped out, and you think that everything is great with your girl, and she's doing all these things. And you're like, I'm trying my best here, and doing so many nice things to her, and I'm being understanding and loving, and she's doing all this, and how could she do this to me? That's probably what her boyfriend that you were hooking up with, when you were hooking up with her, was thinking when she broke up with him, and he found out. I'm sure he found out what was going on behind the scenes. That's what these types are like. No integrity. I had hope because she cried and apologized yet again and gave me all her social media passwords, emails, and everything else. Her phone was never locked, so I didn't need it. She did this without asking. I was never the guy that wanted to go through somebody's phone or social media, so I didn't. I figured I would play a mind game with her since she knows she could get caught, so she wouldn't want to. Right? Wrong. Something tells me she was intentionally trying to get caught. Obviously, so that way then, okay, it's done. I switched to the third shift prior to this happening, so I was working 8 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Monday through Saturday now. I noticed one night that right after I got home from work, she stopped responding. I didn't see her active on social media, but I had a bad gut feeling. Trust your gut. I get home and she's asleep in my bed naked. I go to her laptop and check her emails. I planned to check her social media as well, but there was no need. This broad was sending naked pictures to multiple dudes. Some of the message threads had thousands of messages, with the fewest ones having around 50, which was just enough to send naughty messages and move on. The message that pissed me off was her planning to meet a guy for apparently the first time who stayed about an hour away from where we lived. There were numerous amateur naughty pictures from both them and what appeared to be a video files in the emails as well. So she's making videos and X something pictures. She had already sent him my work schedule as well as hers, and I was shaking with rage, but when I'm extremely angry, I'm extremely quiet. What I tell you about getting rid of her when you found out that she was posting pictures of her nipple rings and stuff like that online, and thought, no big deal. I knew it was going to get worse. Oh, by the way, remember, this is the pastor's daughter making adult videos, adult entertainment. I quietly walked into the room and looked at her sleeping peacefully like nothing is wrong in my bed under my roof. I thought about everything I'd done for her, her fake-ass family, and all the sacrifice I was making saving up $30,000 for a wedding she wanted, not including the wedding ring itself. In a flash, I punched a hole in my wall closet to her, my wall closet to her, so she could hear it. She jumped up and saw me and then moved away from me to the corner of the bed because she had never seen me angry before and she looked scared. I don't blame you for reacting that way. Believe me, I've been known to punch and kick a few things when I'm furious, but that could be turned against you to say that you were getting violent and she was fearful for her life when the police show up. Just want to point that out, guys. Keep it under control. I told her calmly in a low voice to get the F out of my house. We are done. I need my ring back and that afternoon, or else I will come directly to her house and take it by force, as it was the ring my grandpa gave my grandma years ago. You're damn right you better give back that ring. That's a family heirloom. Good for you. Tell her to get the hell out of there. Of course, she played dumb and even tried to approach me to try to comfort me, and that's when I said, Kim, I know everything, and you have 30 seconds to get whatever you want out of here as of now and get the F out of my sight. Good for you. As I was saying this, I couldn't hold back my visibly shaking, and my voice was getting louder as I said that. She took the hint and put on her clothes quicker than I saw her do so many when my mom almost caught us messing around in the beginning of our relationship. I'm sure she's probably learned very well how to put her clothes on quickly. I'm sure she had many times that she had to practice that technique and master that skill. Before she left, I was standing by the door and demanded the key I'd just given her a couple months ago back. She cried even harder and gave it to me, and I slammed the door behind her. Get the hell out! I went through immense pain. I felt a distant cold chill go over my heart. The anger subsided into emptiness, which led to depression. That was when I started drinking more and having even more wild get-togethers in my house with mostly females, but I wasn't happy. Mostly. Okay. Fast forward about a year passed, and I'm on a rampage with women. I did not care about them if they weren't pleasing me, and was cutting women off if they had something about I didn't like. In the midst of all this, I hear my ex-fiancée is getting around town, if you know what I mean. Well, there's a surprise. Bro, I get that you were obviously brokenhearted. This was the girl you thought you were going to marry. You were engaged. You did all these things for her, but gotta be careful. All these things you were doing, a lot of bad things could have happened, bro. You could have gotten girls pregnant. You could have caught an STD, STI, the alcohol and stuff. You gotta be careful. Guys, I get going through the motions of things, but you can't destroy yourselves because of somebody else. It's not worth it. A lot of bad things can happen. Fortunately, it doesn't to this guy, and I'm sure he knows this now, but still, gotta be careful. The next part, I don't know why I did this, but I guess it was I wanted to have you-know-what with her one final time, then be done with it. Smack. She should be out of your life completely. Why are you paying attention to what she's doing, let alone doing what you're about to do? He says, we reconnected. I didn't speak on anything personal my way, despite the prying questions. In the middle of our conversation, she said she wanted to step out and smoke a cigarette. I always hated cigarettes, and the moment she lit up, the less attractive she got, and I didn't even want to have you-know-what with her anymore. Well, that's good. Why the hell after what she did to you, why in God's green earth are you contacting her? Smack. Seriously, bro. She's done. And that could only rekindle old feelings and do something stupid. Anyway, for some reason, she thought it was a good idea to tell me about her adventures she was having with other men. She was doing that to hurt you. The more she spoke, the more I was wondering what I was doing and why did I even date her, let alone be engaged to her to begin with. I thought it was funny because I literally taught her everything she needed to know from oral to going all the way. I don't know about that, dude. So I did nothing but made me look at her as a HO and not be jealous or hurt. After she left my house, I blocked her on social media since that was our only means of communicating, as she didn't have my phone number. Good. Block her. It's done. It's over. You should have done that before. Now the end of my story, finishing it up. He says, I'm 33 years old now, and I'm working on becoming an electrician. I'm in progress of finishing my apprenticeship and hopefully starting my own business in the next 5 years. Awesome, brother. Good for you. Good job. Being your own boss, it's wonderful. Definitely there can be some headaches on occasion, but the rewards, it's fantastic. I made some mistakes in my life, and I had some hardships that slowed me down. But I still have decent money in the bank, decent credit, I'm improving, and no kids. I also have relationships after that, but I'm not interested in dating since it's a waste of time. Society will tell me I'm bitter or to not lose hope, but I don't care to be in a relationship anymore. I can't blame this guy after what happened. Now, sure, we've all been hurt, or the majority of us, and it doesn't mean that every gal out there is like that. But sadly, a lot are. And the numbers are just going up, up, and up to doing types of things like this girl was doing. Again, not all of them, but a lot do. And he's 33 and he's seeing out there how things really are, particularly with his demographic in probably the 20s and 30s. And you can't blame him at all. But what he's doing now is he's obviously focusing on finishing his apprenticeship and going into business for himself. That should be your top priority, guys. Purpose. Whatever that may be, rising in the corporate ladder, your great company that you may be working in, or getting certifications and things like that so you can eventually go into business for yourself. These are all great things to focus your attention, not just some chick that's not going to mean anything to you really after you hook up. I mean, honestly, if you're a relationship guy, okay, you're a relationship guy, but your purpose comes first. And believe me, you're not going to have to do relationships if you don't have the purpose and making money and doing well for yourself. Okay, but that's another conversation. And to finish up, he says, as for Kim, well, she's a single MOM now. There's a surprise. I found out she had a baby a few years ago after we broke up to a felon who cannot keep a job and lives with her while she foots the bills. There you go. That's karma. You were paying all the bills before, but now she's paying all the bills, and she has some ex-con living with her, and he doesn't do anything. I find this funny since she always told me that if I got her pregnant, she would put me on child support if we broke up, even if I was there for the kid. She used stability as an excuse. Funny how things work out. So there you go, guys. I know you guys like the crazy stories when these types of things happen, but what are the lessons of this story? The red flags. Always pay attention to them. And the biggest one, for your relationship guys that you date and do and pick up and all that, if you're with a girl and she has a boyfriend and she's cheating on him with you, like I said, it's only a matter of time. It doesn't make it happen to how great it is. If things go sour, she's going to do the same thing to you. Right here. You saw that. And, of course, the stereotype of the pastor's daughter. You can all get a laugh at that. So, guys, you got to be careful. Okay? Learn from these stories. I know a lot of you guys come here for the entertainment. I know other guys come here for the lessons. I try to mix them all together and make it fun. Lessons through entertainment. That's my thing. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, if you have a great story you'd like to share, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com, and I'll definitely cover it later on down the road when I get a chance. I get a lot of them all the time. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.